Welcome to Medieval History Channel 97, where the echoes of the past come alive. Step into the world of knights, castles, and forgotten legends as we journey through time together. Let history speak. The story of Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart, the greatest musical prodigy in history, who illuminated an entire era of music with innate talent and burning passion. Mozart was born on a cold January night in 1756 in the city of Salzburg, Austria. From the moment he was born, it seemed nature had bestowed upon the boy a special gift, a miraculous ability for music. Mozart's father, Leopold Mozart, a respected musician and composer at the court of the Archbishop of Salzburg, quickly realized that Wolfgang was unlike any other child. At just 3 years old, when many children his age could not yet read, Mozart was able to read music easily and even play complex melodies on the piano. This ability amazed and filled the family and those around them with pride. Recognizing his son's extraordinary potential, Leo decided to devote all his effort to training Mozart. Not only did he teach him basic musical knowledge, but he also took Wolfgang on concert tours throughout Europe, starting from when he was only 6 years old. Long journeys, unfamiliar cities, and performances before kings, nobles, and famous composers became valuable experiences that helped Mozart hone his talent and confidence. Every time he stepped onto the stage, though small in stature, Mozart exuded a special aura that captivated everyone's eyes on his delicate hands gracefully moving over the keys. His music was not just sound, it was the story of a child's soul full of aspiration, a blend of nature and humanity, of purity and unbelievable depth. Despite early brilliant success, life in Salzburg gradually became stifling for Mozart. The archbishop and the court there did not fully appreciate his talent and creativity. Wishing to have freedom to compose and develop his own style, Mozart decided to leave his hometown for Vienna, then the cultural and artistic capital of Europe. Vienna opened up a completely new world for Mozart, where artists were given creative freedom and welcomed with respect. Here, Mozart was not only a pianist, but also a genius composer. He created a series of immortal masterpieces, marking a great turning point in the history of world music. Works like The Marriage of Figaro, Don Giovanni, and Requiem were not only music to listen to, but also profound stories, subtle expressions of human emotion through each note. The Marriage of Figaro is a colorful comic opera reflecting society and the inner conflicts of humans with skill and delicacy. Don Giovanni is a tragic story mixed with dark tones portraying the clash between passion and morality. And Requiem, the music Mozart composed in his final days, carries a deep and sorrowful tone, as if he was merging into his own pain and departure. Mozart's life in Vienna was far from easy. Despite being recognized as a genius, he still faced many financial and health difficulties. But it was in those days that the artist tirelessly dedicated himself, composing non-stop. On some nights, when everyone else was asleep, Mozart would sit at the piano, immersing himself in the world of music, where he found comfort and vitality for his soul. Time passed quickly, and Mozart died at only 35 years old, an age too young to end such a miraculous life. The strange thing was that before dying, he believed he was composing for his own funeral. The unfinished Requiem was like a final message to the world. Despite a short life, Mozart left behind an invaluable musical legacy, an artistic treasure that future generations continue to honor and learn from. The story of Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart is not only a tale of a musical genius, but also a testament to the power of passion, perseverance, and the longing for freedom. From a small boy in Salzburg to a renowned virtuoso in Vienna, Mozart lived wholeheartedly for music and for his own life, leaving an indelible mark on the cultural history of humanity. More than 200 years have passed since he left this world, yet Mozart's music still resonates, gentle and profound, as a reminder that true talent is an undying flame, and music is the eternal language of the human heart. After the story of Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart closes with notes echoing through time, European music entered a new chapter, the chapter of Ludwig van Beethoven, who continued the great tradition but also infused it with a new vitality, powerful and emotional. Beethoven was born in 1770 in Bonn, Germany, at a time when Mozart was at the height of his career. As a young man, Beethoven had the chance to meet Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart, the musical prodigy admired by the world. During a performance in Vienna, Beethoven played for Mozart and was highly praised for his talent. That moment lit a fire of belief and desire in Beethoven's heart, pushing him to train, to learn, and to become a great artist. Not long after, Beethoven became a student of Joseph Haydn, one of the great composers of that time, in Vienna. This city remained a launching pad for major talents, and under Haydn's guidance, Beethoven matured in both technique and compositional style. But his life was not paved with roses. A great misfortune struck when Beethoven began to lose his hearing, an apparent tragedy for a gifted musician. Instead of succumbing to despair, Beethoven chose to listen with his heart. He could no longer hear clearly the sounds around him, but within his soul, music resonated more vividly than ever. His extraordinary resilience and willpower helped create timeless masterpieces that the world remembers to this day. One of Beethoven's most famous works is the Moonlight Sonata, a deeply emotional piano piece, gentle yet profound, carrying interwoven sorrow and hope. Its melody leads listeners into a dreamlike world where human emotions are delicately expressed through every note. Not stopping there, Beethoven also composed the Symphony No. 9, a lasting masterpiece, the pinnacle of classical music. Especially in the final movement of this symphony is the song Ode to Joy, a choral proclamation of peace, hope, and human compassion. The symphony is not merely music, but a profound humanistic message that has inspired generations. Even as his hearing worsened, Beethoven never ceased working. He composed through inner feeling, fueled by an unwavering fire of passion. This very difference made his music unique, both powerful and fierce, yet subtle and deep. Beethoven's compositions are not only works of art, but also the story of a man who overcame adversity and triumphed through sheer will and soul. The music of Beethoven holds the power to connect hearts and awaken the deepest emotions within humanity. He proved that even in the most difficult circumstances, as long as faith and passion still burn within the heart, one can create miracles. From Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart, with his divine talent and creative freedom, to Ludwig van Beethoven, the resilient student who listened with his heart, European music experienced a powerful and inspiring evolution. Two individuals, two stories, yet the same mission: to keep immortal melodies alive so that music is not just an echo in the ear, but a timeless resonance of the soul. The music of Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart, the prodigy with his enchanting symphonies, and Ludwig van Beethoven, the man who triumphed over adversity with a steadfast heart, ushered in a glorious era for European music. But if we seek the deeper roots of classical music, one cannot ignore another great name, Johann Sebastian Bach, whose music was not only art, but also faith, the stillness of the soul, and unwavering discipline. Johann Sebastian Bach was born in 1685 into a traditional family of musicians in Germany. His life did not begin with the spotlight like Mozart or Beethoven. In fact, Bach's childhood was filled with hardship as he lost his father at a very young age. Orphaned, Bach was sent to live with his older brother, himself a respected musician, who became his teacher, his guide, and his emotional anchor during those early years. In his brother's home, music became both breath and beacon, illuminating the boy Johann Sebastian through the absence he endured. From a young age, Bach revealed exceptional talent, but his career was not centered on cheerful melodies or grandiose choruses. Bach was deeply connected to spiritual life, especially through his work in churches. The place where he left the deepest impression was St. Thomas Church in Leipzig, where he spent most of his life composing and performing. In Leipzig, Bach became the music director and choir master of St. Thomas Church, a highly significant position in the community. He was not only an artist, but also a preacher through music. The works he composed during this period were imbued with spirituality, becoming prayers, living scriptures expressed through sound. Among these, the St. Matthew Passion stands out as a masterpiece, telling the sorrowful story of Christ's passion, with music both moving and solemn. Bach's music was not merely a series of notes, but a meticulously crafted work of art, built upon strict discipline and profound intellect. He was a master of counterpoint, a style that harmonizes multiple independent musical lines into one vibrant, deeply layered whole. The precision in every detail did not strip away emotion. Rather, it allowed listeners to experience the subtlety and completeness of his compositions. What is special about Bach is that his music embodies the powerful fusion of intellect and spirituality. When listening to Bach's compositions, one does not merely hear technical perfection, but also feels a profound depth of soul, a sacred elevation. It is a connection between the human and the divine, between the earthly and the celestial. Bach's music becomes a bridge, guiding listeners into a tranquil realm where all burdens and sorrows are dissolved by serenity and faith. Throughout his life, Bach composed hundreds of works, ranging from hymns and symphonies to concertos and suites. Each piece is like a precious gem in the treasure trove of world music, enriching the cultural heritage of humanity. From the tender melodies of Air on the G string to the majestic solemnity of the Mass in B minor, Bach's music continues to resonate, inspiring generations of musicians and music lovers. Unlike Mozart's liberating style or Beethoven's emotional explosions, Bach symbolizes perseverance, meticulousness, and absolute devotion to art and faith. He lived a simple life, dedicating his entire being to music and belief, regarding them as the sole path to truth and perfection. Looking back at the musical journey from Bach to Mozart to Beethoven, we witness both continuity and evolution in art. Yet, we also see the uniqueness in how each genius expressed their soul and life through music. Bach laid the firm foundation with seriousness and depth. Mozart infused it with freedom, lightness, and innate brilliance, while Beethoven ignited the flame of passion, transcending all boundaries to write the triumphant chapters of humanity. Johann Sebastian Bach's music flows like a pure stream through time, bringing peace and depth to the souls of those who truly listen. And that very music helped compose the Grand Symphony of Mankind, intertwining with the magnificent stories of Mozart and Beethoven, geniuses the musical world will never forget. The music of Johann Sebastian Bach echoed through Europe's cathedrals and palaces, forming the bedrock of classical art's endless stream. From Bach's discipline and spirituality to Mozart's liberating charm and Beethoven's extraordinary willpower, the world of music stepped into the 19th century with a new soul, a soul that was refined, delicate, and deeply emotional. That is the story of Frédéric Chopin, the Polish piano genius who turned each key into whispered confessions of the heart. Chopin was born in 1810 into a minor noble family in Poland, where beautiful nature intertwined with a rich cultural tradition. From an early age, he displayed extraordinary delicacy and sensitivity, not only in appearance, but also in the way he perceived the world. Unlike the bold or vigorous composers before him, Chopin carried within him a profound and introspective soul, often retreating silently to the piano, his sanctuary for expressing all the sorrows, thoughts, and emotional fluctuations of life. Chopin's life was not without trials and storms. After leaving his homeland of Poland due to political unrest, he settled in Paris, Europe's most vibrant center of art and culture at the time. There, Chopin quickly became a close companion of artists and intellectuals, especially forming a deep romantic relationship with the renowned writer George Sand. This love became an endless source of inspiration, fueling his creativity in both composition and performance. Many of his works from this period emerged, gentle, lyrical, and dreamy, like whispered confessions of a loving heart, filled with longing and wistfulness. However, Chopin's health steadily declined due to the ravages of tuberculosis. Despite enduring constant pain and exhaustion, he never gave up his passion for music. With each keystroke, Chopin poured his soul into the piano, transforming every note into a story of life, of love, of unfulfilled dreams. His music, with nocturnes, mazurkas, and polonaises, was not merely a collection of artistic works, but rather a mirror reflecting the moods and character of a deeply sensitive human being. Knowing his time was drawing to a close, Chopin spent his final days in contemplation of himself and his music. Remarkably, he requested that Mozart's Requiem, written by the prodigy he so admired, be played at his funeral. Music, in this moment, became a completed circle, linking two geniuses from different eras with an invisible thread, the immortality of art and the soul. After his death at the age of 39, Chopin's heart was returned to his homeland of Poland, the place of his birth and treasured memories. This gesture was not only a personal remembrance, but also a symbol of his sacred love for the land and its people. Though his body was laid to rest elsewhere, Chopin's heart continues to beat through his music and in the hearts of music lovers around the world. Chopin's music is a delicate fusion of emotion and technique, of physical frailty and spiritual strength. It is precisely this fragility and sensitivity that render his works timeless, serving as an eternal source of inspiration for artists and music enthusiasts alike. From Bach's solemn depth, Mozart's freedom and genius, Beethoven's extraordinary willpower, to Chopin, the storyteller of emotions through the piano, classical music becomes a vibrant symphony of immortal souls. Chopin's story reminds us that music is not merely an art to be heard, but a language of emotion, of the fragments of life, of love and hope. In our most fragile moments, music can become the greatest source of strength, helping us overcome limitations and discover peace within. And it is from this truth that Chopin's legacy endures, like a small flickering candle that never goes out amidst life's ever-changing tides. The music of Frédéric Chopin, delicate, refined, and full of emotion, has captivated generations of music lovers. From his resonant piano notes, we transition into a new musical world, the powerful and profound explosion of Russian music through Pyotr Ilyich Tchaikovsky, a great composer who transformed the landscape of 19th century classical music and left an indelible mark on history. Unlike the musical geniuses we've mentioned, Tchaikovsky began his musical journey rather late. He was born in 1840 in Russia to a family with no musical tradition, and at first, Tchaikovsky was trained to work in the legal profession. But it was his emotional heart and burning passion for music that led him to make a life-changing decision to pursue the path of art, a turning point that brought him to the pinnacle of his composing career. Tchaikovsky became famous for his deeply emotional and intense compositions, where each melody was not just sound, but the rise and fall of the soul. His works such as Swan Lake, the Nutcracker, and the Violin Concerto are vivid examples of the perfect blend of intricate technique and overflowing emotion. Each piece is a magical story, leading listeners into a fairy tale world where tales are woven from vibrant and enchanting notes. One of the most remarkable aspects of Tchaikovsky's life was his mysterious relationship with his wealthy patron, Nadezhda von Meck. Though they never met in person, Madame von Meck offered Tchaikovsky invaluable financial support, allowing him to focus entirely on composing without worrying about his livelihood. This special relationship was not only materially significant, but also became a great spiritual inspiration for Tchaikovsky throughout his career. Their letters to each other contained profound confessions and served as a testament to their mutual understanding and respect for both art and humanity. Tchaikovsky's musical journey was far from smooth. He faced many challenges in his personal life, from societal pressures to deep internal sorrows. Yet these very struggles became rich material that allowed him to infuse his music with authentic, vibrant, and sharply defined emotions. His music was a harmonious fusion of Western musical tradition and the distinctive Russian spirit, creating a unique style that was romantic, powerful, and tragic. Swan Lake, his renowned ballet, was a masterpiece that showcased the perfect union of technique and emotion. The tale of a princess turned into a swan, of love and sacrifice, was brought to life by Tchaikovsky with a magical vitality that made audiences feel as if they were immersed in a dreamy world, both beautiful and melancholic. The Nutcracker offered a sweet fairy tale realm where joyful, sparkling melodies like sugar crystals led listeners into radiant winter festivals filled with light and color. Tchaikovsky's Violin Concerto is also an unmissable masterpiece, a concerto filled with strength and delicacy, challenging the performer while mesmerizing the audience with passages of technical brilliance and profound emotion. Tchaikovsky built a bridge between past and present, between Western Europe and Russia, between reason and emotion. His music was not merely art to be enjoyed, it was a narration of life, a confession of the soul, and a pursuit of truth and beauty in every moment. The journey from Chopin to Tchaikovsky is a journey of transformation and development in the world of classical music. If Chopin is the inner, delicate, and profound voice of Poland, then Tchaikovsky is the passionate, intense outcry of vast Russia. Both left unforgettable imprints in the hearts of listeners, like eternal musical flames amid the flow of time. The music of Pyotr Ilyich Tchaikovsky is a testament to the power of art in reaching the deepest emotional levels of the human soul. And like the geniuses before him, he enriched the world's musical heritage with immortal melodies that echo endlessly, guiding us through stories of life, love, and yearning. The music of Pyotr Ilyich Tchaikovsky, with its fierce explosions, overflowing emotions, and vibrant vitality, expanded the boundaries of classical art to distant lands, where tales of nature and humanity intertwine into a grand symphony. Continuing that colorful journey, we enter the world of Antonio Vivaldi, the Red Priest of Venice, a strange yet talented figure who breathed life into Baroque music with lively, radiant, and exquisite melodies. Born in Venice, the city famed for its green canals and magnificent architecture, Vivaldi was a multifaceted individual. He was not only a musical genius, but also a Catholic priest, a seemingly impossible combination that created a unique imprint on his life and career. With his distinctive red hair, Vivaldi became a figure both solemn and filled with creative energy. Although he held the role of a priest, his passionate love for music and the violin led Vivaldi to devote most of his time to composing and performing. He was not only an outstanding artist, but also a devoted teacher, inspiring generations of students. His performances at churches and palaces were always full of life, like a dialogue between nature and humanity through each note of the violin. Vivaldi's greatest masterpiece is the Concerto set The Four Seasons, a musical depiction of spring, summer, autumn, and winter, vivid and colorful. Each season is represented by a separate concerto with delicate melodies that vividly portray the changes of nature, the chirping of spring birds, sudden summer showers, the autumn wind rustling fallen leaves, or the cold stillness of winter. Vivaldi's music is like a living painting where listeners can feel every breath, every heartbeat of the earth and sky. Beyond the Four Seasons, Vivaldi also dreamed of composing operas, a genre rich with color and emotional highs and lows. Though his life was primarily devoted to chamber music and church compositions, his operas still left a special mark, demonstrating his diversity and relentless creativity. His music was not confined to traditional spaces but reached far beyond, resonating across the world to this day. Antonio Vivaldi's musical journey is a testament to the fusion of faith and art, of tradition and innovation. He used the violin as a language to tell stories of nature, humanity, and emotion, turning music into a magical bridge between the artist's heart and the listener's soul. Looking back at the history of music from Bach, Mozart, Beethoven, Chopin, Tchaikovsky to Vivaldi, we see a continuous stream of talent and passion, individuals who constantly explored and renewed music through each era, each style, each composition. Each genius with a unique mark, a distinct story, yet sharing a common mission: to bring the world immortal melodies and the miraculous moments that only music can offer. The music of Vivaldi, radiant, vibrant, and steeped in nature, is the perfect finale to this wondrous journey, a testament to the eternal power of art, transcending all boundaries of time and space. Through those melodies, we hear not just sound, but life itself, its movements, and the endless beauty of the world around us. The brilliant and lively music of Antonio Vivaldi, the Red Priest from Venice, was like a fresh breeze, breathing exuberant and sharp melodies into the Baroque world. As his violin continued to echo through the air, the history of music unfolded new chapters of subtlety, elegance, and depth, with the emergence of Johannes Brahms, a quiet poet of the Romantic era, who brought forth wordless love songs filled with intense emotion. Johannes Brahms was born in 1833 in Hamburg, Germany, into a modest but musically rich family. Brahms was a reserved, profound man, a perfectionist in every note he composed. His life was intimately connected with Clara Schumann, a brilliant pianist and the wife of the renowned composer Robert Schumann, who died young due to mental illness. The relationship between Brahms and Clara was more than mere friendship. It was an inexhaustible source of inspiration for many of his works. Clara Schumann was not only an outstanding artist, but also someone who deeply understood and supported Brahms during his struggles. That profound affection, though never publicly declared, flowed through every note of Brahms's music, creating a special delicacy and romanticism. His compositions are like unsent love letters, gentle yet profound, reserved yet passionately intense, drawing listeners into a love story filled with subtlety and truth. Brahms' music is never loud or ostentatious. On the contrary, it resembles a calm river, carrying unspoken emotions and thoughts, expressed with refinement but deeply moving. He was called a quiet poet for his ability to convey the most intimate feelings through graceful and flowing melodies. His music is a blend of intellect and heart, of contemplation and fierce emotion. Masterpieces such as Piano Concerto No. 1, Symphony No. 3, or Lullaby clearly illustrate his distinctive style, at once powerful and majestic, yet dreamy and poetic. Brahms not only inherited the spirit of his predecessors like Beethoven and Schumann, but also created his own unique marks, enriching the world's classical music heritage. His profound connection with Clara Schumann added emotional depth to Brahms's music. That relationship, constrained by the era's rigid societal norms, remained a rich source of inspiration throughout his creative life. It allowed him to explore complex emotional nuances from joy and sorrow to hidden desires and transform them into timeless compositions. If Vivaldi's music is the vivid and radiant embodiment of nature, then Brahms's music is the refined and introspective voice of the human soul. He didn't need exuberant melodies or grand climaxes to touch the listener's heart. Through restraint, clarity, and contemplative phrasing, he created a distinct world that is at once intimate and mysterious. The musical journey of Johannes Brahms stands as a testament to the power of love, understanding, and patience. Through his wordless love songs, he told the world the story of the most delicate human emotions, emotions that are sometimes hard to express in words, but are deeply felt in every breath. From the stories of Bach, Mozart, Beethoven, Chopin, Tchaikovsky, Vivaldi to Brahms, we seem to travel through a long journey of music. A journey not only of the development of technique and style, but also of the profound expression of the human soul through each melody. Each composer, each work is a multi-dimensional painting, portraying different shades of life, love, and art. The music of Brahms, with its harmonious blend of emotion and reason, is a reminder that in this chaotic and complex world, there still exist eternal values, sincerity, perseverance, and a silent yet powerful love. His compositions continue to echo like gentle whispers in the hearts of listeners, guiding them to deep emotions and silent reflections on life. And so the journey of classical music never ends, but never ends, continues to live on in every breath, every emotion of humanity, through the wordless love songs of Johannes Brahms, the silent poet of the Romantic era. The subtle, serene, and contemplative music of Johannes Brahms, the silent poet of the Romantic period, closed a glorious chapter of classical music, paving the way for new revolutions in art. Continuing that tradition, Claude Debussy entered the world of music like a gentle breeze, not loud, not boisterous, but powerful enough to profoundly stir the soul of the listener. He is known as the founder of the Impressionist school in music, a revolutionary style that opened a new era in the art of sound. Born and raised in France at the end of the 19th century, Debussy soon revealed a unique musical talent. Unlike his predecessors, Debussy did not pursue grand melodies or strict classical structures. Instead, he sought dreamy, floating sounds, like strokes of color on the canvas of an impressionist painter. Debussy's music is a delicate fusion of shades, soft and transformative tonal colors, creating an expansive and multidimensional musical space. Debussy's most famous piece is Clair de Lune, Moonlight, a short piano work filled with magic, like moonlight shimmering on the surface of still water in the quiet of night. When the notes resound, the listener is led into a dreamlike world where all the stress and noise of life fade away, replaced by tranquility and peace. Those gentle yet emotional notes are not just sounds, but refined emotions and silent thoughts of an artist's soul. Debussy's music is neither loud nor flashy, not forceful or intense like Beethoven or Tchaikovsky. Instead, it quietly penetrates the heart, like a soft breeze carrying the scent of flowers, the coolness of shade, and the gentle light of the moon. It is precisely this silence and subtlety that give his music its distinctive power. A power not measured by volume or speed, but by a profound connection to the listener's feelings and soul. Debussy was also a pioneer in breaking traditional boundaries of classical music, opening new doors for creative freedom. He used unusual sounds and chords that defied conventional rules, creating a world of music rich in color and mystery. The Impressionist school he founded not only influenced music, but also spread to painting, literature, and other artistic fields, changing the way people perceive art and life. Looking back at the journey from Brahms to Debussy, we see the subtle transformation of music, from emotionally rich and restrained, wordless love songs to expansive and magical soundscapes. Debussy was not a trailblazer through grand melodies or masterful technique, but through extraordinary sensitivity, the ability to perceive the world and express it through music in a profound and innovative way. Claude Debussy's music is a reminder that art is not just a showcase of technique or an outburst of emotion, but also a stillness, a subtlety, and a silent connection between the soul of the artist and the listener. It is the powerful silence where music becomes the language of what cannot be said. And thus, the journey of classical music from Bach, Mozart, Beethoven, Chopin, Tchaikovsky, Vivaldi, Brahms to Debussy is a multicolored symphony of human soul and emotion. Each composer, each style is a chapter, a unique brushstroke on the grand canvas of art history, a painting still being created with immortal melodies, profound emotions, and endlessly renewed ideas. The music of Claude Debussy, the founder of Impressionism with his gentle, dreamy melodies like shimmering moonlight, expanded the boundaries of art with unprecedented delicacy and depth. From that quiet breeze, the history of music entered a completely new, grand, and epic chapter with the emergence of Richard Wagner, the great master of opera who brought to the world dramatic, magnificent, and powerful works. Richard Wagner was born in 1813 in Germany during a time of upheaval and deep reflection on society and politics. Not only a genius composer, Wagner was also a figure with strong political views, having taken part in the Dresden Uprising of 1849. His experiences in political and social life helped shape the power and depth in his musical works. Wagner is renowned for his monumental operas such as The Flying Dutchman, Der Fliegende Holländer, Tristan and Isolde, and Parsifal, dramatic, romantic, and epic tales woven through each musical note. Unlike the quiet, subtle music of Debussy or the restrained love songs of Brahms, Wagner used music as a powerful weapon to tell grand stories of fate, love, and the human struggle with oneself. The Flying Dutchman tells a haunting legend where a ship that can never dock traps the souls of the cursed in an eternal sea storm. Through Wagner's music, the story comes alive, captivating the listener and drawing them into a world both enchanting and perilous. Meanwhile, Tristan and Isolde is a tale of tragic love and endless yearning, where emotions are repressed and then erupt through each dramatic and emotionally charged harmony. This work is considered one of the pinnacles of romantic opera, deeply influencing many generations of composers that followed. Parsifal, Wagner's final opera, is a profound epic work combining religion, philosophy, and art. Through it, he expresses his views on salvation, sacrifice, and the journey to find the meaning of life. The music in Parsifal is not just sound, but a sermon, a spiritual call that captivates listeners with every note. Wagner's music is a blend of drama and epic, grandeur and subtle detail. He uses large orchestras, complex harmonies, and distinctive musical themes, leitmotifs, as musical symbols representing characters, emotions, and ideas in the story. This technique not only enhances expressiveness, but also creates a deep connection between the music and the content, allowing listeners not only to enjoy the music, but to live through every moment of the story. Although Wagner's music can be controversial due to his strong personality and political views, his enormous influence on the world of art cannot be denied. Wagner's operas continue to be performed in major theaters worldwide, inspiring millions with their epic power and profound humanity. If Debussy's music is gentle and delicate, like moonlight on water, Wagner's is a violent storm, a blazing fire of emotion and humanity's great aspirations. He not only created music, but also revived legends, turning them into intense and profound artistic experiences. The musical journey from Debussy to Wagner demonstrates the diversity and richness of classical art, from the quiet whispers of impressionist pieces to the dramatic explosions of epic opera. Each composer, each style has its own voice, blending together to create a vast, colorful, and eternal musical panorama. Thus, through the stories of Bach, Mozart, Beethoven, Chopin, Tchaikovsky, Vivaldi, Brahms, Debussy, and finally Wagner, we see a symphony not only of sound, but of soul and history. Music is a universal language that transcends all boundaries, connecting people across time and space, an immortal language, forever resonating in the hearts of art lovers worldwide. Richard Wagner's epic and dramatic music is like a magnificent whirlwind that has left an indelible mark on the art world. But the 20th century, with its rapid social upheavals and changes, needed a new musical revolution, a completely different voice to break old limits. And the one who did that was Igor Stravinsky, the master composer who set a milestone for modern music through relentless innovation and extraordinary creativity. Stravinsky was born in 1882 in Russia, into a family of artists where music was not only a profession, but the breath of life itself. Initially, he studied law at his family's request, but the heart of an artist urged him to abandon that safe path to pursue music. That choice opened a journey filled with challenges, but also immense brilliance. Stravinsky's name began to gain recognition when he composed famous ballets such as The Firebird and The Rite of Spring. The Firebird is a Russian fairy tale infused with powerful, mysterious, and colorful music. The work impressed not only by its virtuosity, but also by how it transported listeners into a magical world where enchantment and humanity intertwine. However, the pinnacle and the true revolution of Stravinsky was The Rite of Spring, a work that shook the art world upon its debut. With a bold blend of tangled rhythms, unusual harmonies, and complex structures, The Rite of Spring delivered an entirely new musical experience, defying all traditional conventions. This ballet tells of an ancient springtime ritual where people perform ceremonies to awaken the vitality of nature. Stravinsky's music was not merely sound, but a fierce, intense, and emotional adventure. Throughout his life, Stravinsky continuously reinvented and experimented. He did not confine himself to a fixed style, but gradually transitioned from classical music to more modern forms, especially the 12-tone technique, serialism, a completely new approach to composition that broke all traditional rules of melody and harmony. It was this flexibility and relentless creativity that made him a symbol of the 20th century music revolution. Stravinsky's music is a fusion of intellect and instinct, of tradition and innovation, of tight structure and absolute freedom. It not only reflected the social upheavals of his time, but also voiced a new era in which humans were no longer bound by old limits, but free to explore, create, and express themselves. The journey from Wagner to Stravinsky clearly demonstrates the evolution and revolution of classical music. If Wagner used music to tell grand epic tales, Stravinsky used music to challenge, to break, and to reimagine the world of sound in unprecedented ways. He opened new doors, leading listeners into a modern, multidimensional, and vibrant musical space. The music of Igor Stravinsky is not just a style, but a symbol of ceaseless innovation and artistic bravery. Through works like The Firebird and The Rite of Spring, he changed the way we perceive music, making it more alive, complex, and rich than ever before. In doing so, he carved his name in history as one of the great composers, a pioneer who led the musical revolution of the 20th century, a revolution that transformed not only sound, but also the way people think and feel about art. Classical music, with its timeless depth and diversity, tells the story of geniuses who constantly breathed soul into every note, creating immortal masterpieces. From Johann Sebastian Bach, the master of Baroque discipline and spirituality, whose music was like living scripture, where each keystroke merged intellect and faith, paving the way for future composers. Following Bach was Antonio Vivaldi, the Red Priest of Venice, who brought nature vividly into music through the concerto The Four Seasons, making spring, summer, autumn, and winter come alive and dazzling in the listener's mind. Vivaldi dreamed of vibrant operas, and his diverse creativity touched every corner of Baroque art. The 18th century welcomed Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart, a free-spirited genius with extraordinary talent, who blended creative freedom and masterful technique to craft timeless operas and symphonies, such as The Marriage of Figaro and Don Giovanni. That spirit of liberty and passion laid the foundation for Ludwig van Beethoven, a resilient figure who overcame the adversity of deafness to compose majestic and profound masterpieces, with Moonlight Sonata and Symphony No. 9 standing as testaments to the power of will and the soul. As the 19th century unfolded, music became increasingly multidimensional with Frédéric Chopin, the delicate, sensitive voice of the piano, and Piotr Ilyich Tchaikovsky, the Russian who unleashed emotion through Swan Lake and the Nutcracker. Johannes Brahms, the silent poet of the Romantic era, continued the tradition with restraint and depth in his wordless love songs, blending classical roots with his distinct personal mark. The musical landscape further expanded with Claude Debussy, who laid the groundwork for Impressionism through elusive and dreamlike pieces like Clair de Lune, creating a refined world of sound that quietly seeped into the soul. Meanwhile, Richard Wagner ignited an epic firestorm, delivering grand and dramatic operas such as The Flying Dutchman and Tristan und Isolde, transforming music into a dialogue of intense emotion and human destiny. The 20th century opened a revolutionary chapter with Igor Stravinsky, who shook the musical world with groundbreaking ballets like The Firebird and The Rite of Spring. From traditional melodies to complex structures and bold sonic palettes, Stravinsky constantly reinvented, ushering in a modern era of music defined by freedom and creativity. And that journey never ceased. After Stravinsky, the story of 20th century music continued through bold figures such as Arnold Schoenberg, the father of 12-tone serialism, who broke away from all traditional rules, elevating music into a realm of abstraction and complexity. John Cage, a pioneer of avant-garde music, explored silence and randomness, raising new questions about the essence of sound and creativity. Alongside him, movements like minimalism, electronic music, and multicultural fusion further enriched the tapestry of modern sonic art. Today's music is a vast ocean where tradition meets innovation, where every rhythm becomes a bridge between past and future, between artist and listener. The journey of classical music, from humble church ensembles to lavish operas and avant-garde experiments of the 20th century, remains alive, endlessly inspiring, nourishing the soul, and awakening the deepest emotions within us all. Igor Stravinsky's music sparked a powerful revolution at the beginning of the 20th century, ushering in a bold and innovative new era in the art of sound. Yet modern music did not stop there. After Stravinsky, many composers and artistic movements continued to drive relentless transformation, turning music into a journey more diverse, rich, and profound than ever before. To better understand this development, let us explore the key figures, schools, and musical trends that emerged after Stravinsky, beginning with Arnold Schoenberg, the pioneer of the dodecaphonic school, also known as 12-tone music. Arnold Schoenberg and the dodecaphonic school. Arnold Schoenberg, born in 1874 in Austria, was one of the most influential composers of the 20th century. He was not only the founder of the 12-tone music school, a method of composition radically different from traditional techniques, but also a pioneer in exploring new boundaries of music. Before Schoenberg, classical music was based on the tonal system, compositions structured around a key center and governed by conventional harmonic rules. However, as the modern world began to change, the old principles could no longer express the emerging ideas. Schoenberg developed the technique of dodecaphony, a method in which all 12 notes of the chromatic scale are used equally without prioritizing any one note, thereby completely breaking away from the traditional tonal system. This resulted in compositions with complex structures, melodies that defied familiar patterns, and harmonies of high abstraction. Some of Schoenberg's notable works, such as Pierrot Lunaire and Variations for Orchestra, opened up a new musical world, compelling listeners to shift how they perceived and appreciated music. The birth of dodecaphony was not just a technical revolution. It symbolized the spirit of innovation, the desire to explore, and the breaking of boundaries in 20th century musical art. Schoenberg and his students, including Anton Webern and Alban Berg, formed what became known as the Second Viennese School, a movement that deeply influenced the entirety of modern music. John Cage and avant-garde music. While Schoenberg ushered in the era of abstract music with the 12-tone system, John Cage, a composer born in 1912 in the United States, led music into entirely uncharted territory through radical innovation and groundbreaking artistic philosophy. Cage was not only a composer, but also a philosopher of music, questioning the very nature of sound, silence, and chance. Cage's most famous work, 433 crackle, a piece without any deliberate sound or instrumental play, shook the foundations of the art world. During its entire duration of 4 minutes and 33 seconds, the performer remains silent, and the ambient sounds, breathing, coughing, rustling, become the music itself. Cage expanded the definition of music asserting that music does not necessarily have to be created by humans, but can include all sounds that we can perceive. He employed various new techniques, such as using non-traditional objects to produce sound, aleatoric music, chance operations, and mathematical systems to construct musical structures. Cage's ideas and works sparked the avant-garde movement in music, opening up a space for artists and composers to freely create without being confined by traditional rules. His experiments had a profound influence on other art forms as well, from contemporary dance to performance art. Modern and contemporary trends, the fusion of multiculturalism. In the latter half of the 20th century and into the 21st century, modern music became more diverse and rich than ever before. It was no longer a linear evolution of traditional schools, but a cross-cultural genre-blending phenomenon that embraced a wide array of techniques. One notable trend was the fusion of classical music with folk, jazz, rock, electronic, and even traditional music from African, Asian, and Middle Eastern cultures. Composers such as Philip Glass and Steve Reich, with their minimalist styles, and Tan Dun, who blended traditional Chinese music with modern elements, pushed the boundaries of what music could be in previously unimaginable ways. Technological advancements also radically transformed the way music was composed, performed, and experienced. Electronic music, sampling, and digital tools enabled the creation of novel sounds and complex harmonies that were once impossible. At the same time, social media and online platforms allowed artists to connect and share their work globally with unprecedented ease. Moreover, multicultural music projects have become increasingly common, where different musical traditions merge to create unique harmonies that reflect the diversity and integrative spirit of the modern world. International music festivals and collaborations among artists from various nations and cultures are living proof of music's ongoing evolution. Music, a journey of constant innovation and connection. Looking back at the journey from Bach to Stravinsky, then to Schoenberg and Cage, and now to the diverse landscape of modern and contemporary music, we can trace an unbroken current of creativity, innovation, and connectivity. Each era and each composer has not only been an artist, but a pioneer, opening new doors and challenging the constraints of the past to elevate art to new heights. Classical music is not merely a collection of pieces to be heard, but a continuous journey through human history, reflecting culture, philosophy, and the deepest aspirations of mankind. It connects people across time and space, serving as a universal language that transcends barriers of tongue, race, or nationality. Today, with music more accessible than ever, anyone can explore and enjoy the treasures of both past and present. And just like the great composers before them, modern artists continue that journey, persisting in creativity, breaking boundaries, and inspiring generations to come. The revolutionary journey of 20th century music and beyond. After the dazzling revolutions of Igor Stravinsky, the musical world of the 20th century entered a time of challenge and innovation, where the boundaries of tradition were shattered and new ideas exploded like brilliant flames. Arnold Schoenberg, considered a pioneer of modern music, boldly stepped beyond the safe confines of classical tonality and created an entirely new musical language: dodecaphony, or 12-tone music. No more tonality, no more familiar harmonic rules. He built compositions based on a series of 12 equal notes, crafting complex and abstract structures that held profound depth. His works, such as Pierrot Lunaire, opened a musical world that was elusive yet emotionally powerful, forcing listeners to reflect and expand their perception of what music could be. Schoenberg did not stand alone. His talented students Alban Berg and Anton Webern continued to develop the Second Viennese School, enriching the modern musical landscape. At the same time, in America, John Cage sparked another revolution, not through complexity but through astonishing simplicity and a radical redefinition of musical boundaries. His work, 433, a performance of complete silence, stunned the art world and ignited a deep conversation about the nature of music and art. Cage believed that music did not need to be created by humans. Every sound around us could be music, if we only knew how to listen. His experiments with chants, non-traditional objects, and fresh approaches laid the foundation for avant-garde and electronic music to flourish. As we moved into the latter half of the 20th century and into the 21st, music became more diverse than ever. Composers like Philip Glass and Steve Reich, with their minimalist styles, created compositions based on repeating motifs, immersing listeners in trance-like, dreamlike states. Electronic sounds, combined with traditional elements from various cultures, enriched the repertoire of modern music. Moreover, Asian composers and those from other regions around the world infused modern music with distinctive traditional elements, forging new, vibrant styles. Contemporary music became a site of cultural integration, where the fusion between tradition and modernity took place with energy and creativity. Technology fundamentally transformed the way we compose, perform, and experience music. The invention of recording, radio, television, the internet, and digital platforms made music more accessible, varied, and far-reaching than ever before. Artists were no longer confined by national borders. They could connect, collaborate, and inspire one another on a global scale. Thus, the journey of music, from the sacred notes of the Baroque cathedrals through romantic symphonies and majestic operas to modern revolutions and multicultural fusion, continues to unfold. Each era, each composer is a vital link, pushing the boundaries of music and bringing it closer to the soul and the daily life of humanity. Classical music is not merely an art form to be enjoyed. It is a story of transformation, connection, and the boundless creativity of humanity. It stands as a living witness to history, culture, and the deepest aspirations of humankind across generations. Modern music, philosophy, and social role, a journey beyond sound. Music is not only an art form, but also the language of the soul and society, the most profound reflection of human nature through every historical period. Entering the 20th and 21st centuries, modern music has not only innovated in technique and style, but has also posed deep philosophical questions about its own essence, about the relationship between artist, work, and society. Through this, music has become a powerful vehicle for conveying ideas, expressing emotions, and fostering social change. Modern music and the philosophy of art, from sound to meaning. Unlike earlier eras, where music was regarded primarily as a form of artistic enjoyment and entertainment, modern music, particularly avant-garde and experimental movements, has sought to challenge traditional definitions of music. Composer John Cage once asked the profound question, "What is music?" He answered that music is not merely intentional sounds, but everything we hear, even silence. His famous work 433 opened a new dialogue about the meaning and nature of music, came up compelling the listener to awaken and listen to the surrounding space as part of the composition. This idea opens a new philosophy of music, that music is no longer confined to technical rules or traditional forms, but becomes a spiritual experience, a subjective perception unique to each individual. It is a journey through soundscapes where artists and audiences travel together, exchanging emotions and ideas. From here, music evolves into a multidimensional, richer, and more profound mode of communication than ever before. The Serialism school, founded by Arnold Schoenberg, also carries its own musical philosophy: freedom within discipline. Although 12-tone compositions are built upon strict structure, it is precisely the breaking away from traditional tonal rules that creates an open space for personal emotion and creativity. This proves that modern art is not disorderly destruction, but the search for new order, new logic, suited to a complex and multidimensional world. Music and society, the sound of change. Modern music is not only a playground for technique and philosophy, but also a powerful tool for transmitting social and political messages. In the 20th century, amidst major historical upheavals such as the two world wars, the civil rights movement, and social crises, music became a voice of protest, a symbol of freedom and change. John Cage, through his radical works, indirectly conveyed messages of acceptance, uncertainty, and beauty in chaos, reflecting a modern world full of volatility and complexity. Avant-garde music paved the way for countercultural movements, performance art, and new forms of social expression. Contemporary composers often use music to speak out on social issues, environmental concerns, social justice, peace, and cultural diversity. Through multicultural projects and the fusion of traditional music with modern technology, they create multi-dimensional musical experiences, connecting people from all over the world, contributing to mutual understanding and harmony among cultures. Modern music, a bridge between artists and communities. One of the essential roles of modern music is to build a bridge between artists and communities. In the past, classical music was often considered an art form reserved for the upper class or the elite, burdened with linguistic and cultural barriers. However, modern music, with its diversity in styles, performance mediums, and technology, has expanded its reach, bringing art closer to a broader audience. International music festivals, multimedia performances, and online platforms that allow direct interaction between listeners and artists have contributed to the formation of a global music community. Music has become a space for meeting, cultural exchange, thoughts, and emotions, creating shared, meaningful experiences and deep connections. Music, humanity's endless journey. Modern music is a testament to the boundless creativity and expressive power of humanity. From compositions with traditional structures to works that defy all rules, from quiet sounds like moonlight to the dramatic storms of epic opera, music has always been the soul's greatest language. It not only reflects history and culture, but also serves as a tool for people to engage in dialogue with themselves, with society, and with the vast world. Modern music is not merely the echo of the artist. It is an invitation for each of us to listen, to feel, and to create new stories together, the stories of today and of the future. Thank you for joining me on this incredible musical journey through the geniuses of Mozart, Wagner, and Stravinsky. I hope you feel satisfied and inspired by the stories and masterpieces we have explored together. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a comment below and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel so you won't miss any of our upcoming exciting content. Wishing you a good night, filled with beautiful melodies in your dreams and waking up refreshed and inspired.